Welcome back to the pod. We're so excited that you're here. And if you're tuning in via audio or checking us out online and watching the video, welcome, welcome.
Yay!
How are you this week?
I'm good. I'm good. I was sick yesterday, but my cat helped me through it, and yeah, we're good. We're back online, so that's good.
Your kitties are so empathetic. Like they just know when you're not having a good one.
That's why I think that's why I'm very skeptical. Like I'm very skeptical of people that don't like animals at all, period. It doesn't matter what kind of animal. Like they're so you don't have to have pets. I'm not saying that, but like if you don't like animals, period,
Yeah.
because they are just such emotional support.
Yeah. It's kind of
They
like
really are.
people who don't like music, like any form of music. I'm
Yeah.
like, you have no you have no heart, no soul. Who are you? I
Yeah.
don't get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's just crazy. Oh, I'm glad you're feeling better. That's
No,
rough.
thank you.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
So today we are chatting about kind of our witchy origin stories, and I know that you've got something fun to share. I don't know if you've got your visual with you yet or
I
not.
do. It
I
stays with me all the time.
I love it. Well, you want to kick
Yeah.
things off then?
I
Because I
will.
cannot
Yeah.
wait to see this.
Okay. So my witchy origin story, I mean, except for the fact that I think we all witches think, or we all think we're different in some way. Like we just don't fit in. I think that is just like a common theme with a lot of witches is that they just don't fit in from the time that they're little. And so yes, that was a common theme in my life. But in high school, there was actually, it boils down to one specific incident where what happened was Colin, my husband, and I dated in high school. And on his 18th birthday, he broke up with me because he wanted to be an 18-year-old and free. So it was shortly thereafter, probably within a couple of months, he was seen at a party making out with a girl that was supposed to be a friend of mine. And she and I had been like frenemies since high school. Well, within 2 weeks, and I cannot remember which one happened first, but within 2 weeks of each other after this party, Colin was in a car accident and the girl was hit by a car, like walked out onto a street and was hit by a
Like
car.
Regina George with the bus.
Yes.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
broke her leg in like two or three places. Like, yeah. So the day after that happened. So it had to be Colin first.
Mhm.
That's what it was. So Colin had to have the accident first. And then within like a week and a half after that, she got hit by a car. I literally walked into school one day and like you walked into our hall for our grade and we had lockers lining the hall. And everyone was at their lockers just chilling out. And I walk in and like it as I'm walking past people, everyone's turning around and they're going silent.
Whoa.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So a friend of mine, I get to the back of the hallway because that's where my locker was, and a friend of mine rushes over to me and she goes, "We need to talk." And she takes me into the back stairwell. She's like, "Did you do it?" And I'm like, "Did I do what?" And she's like, "Oh, the so and so was hit by a car." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, she was hit by a car yesterday, like in the afternoon.
Yeah.
She's in the hospital right now." And I'm like, "Okay, what does that have to do with me?" And she's like, "Did you do it? Everyone thinks you did it because her and Colin made out at this party
Mm-hmm.
and then Colin got into a car accident and now she got hit by a car. Did you do it?" And I'm like, "How the fuck would I do that?"
Right.
She goes, "They think you're a witch." And I'm like, "Okay, why do they think I'm a witch?" They're like, "They think that thing you carry around is a voodoo doll." This is the show and tell part, you guys.
Yes.
Okay?
And we'll put this on Instagram too.
Yes. Okay?
Yes.
I have it to this day because, and it is in my witchy cabinet right here because it has become such a part of my origin story that I have made sure I've kept it for all these years,
Nice.
and it stays in my witchy cabinet. Okay, so let me grab it. Hold on.
Yes. You guys, y'all, you're not going to believe what this is.
This is a Pillsbury Doughboy that I spent a lot of time collecting UPC codes, the little barcodes from the back of Pillsbury, because on one of our Pillsbury things, you got the little coupon. It was a little, and you had to cut out the little coupon, and it was like, send this coupon to this address with, it was something like 10 UPC codes, and we'll send you a free Pillsbury Doughboy. He doesn't squeak, but he's basically like a squeaky toy. He just doesn't have the hole in him to squeak.
Oh, funny.
He's like rubbery.
Yeah, like a stress ball almost.
It took me forever to get him, and I was so happy to get him, right? So he had literally come in the week before. And so I had a book bag that had like 2 little mesh pockets on the side, and he fit perfectly into one.
Yeah.
So he came to school with me, riding in my backpack, because I had spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
There was time and effort into this, okay, to get to earn him. And he was adorable. Oh my God. This was my voodoo doll.
Oh my God.
Because I just so happened to start carrying him around, and then Colin got into a car accident, and this girl gets hit by a car. So obviously this is my voodoo doll.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
What it was like to be in the 90s in a small town in the South when rumors go rampant. So that is when I started laughing my ass off, because that is the reaction one has. Is like, you think my Pillsbury Doughboy is a voodoo doll. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my freaking God, you people are nuts. So at that moment, like, I was pretty bullied after that. You know, people really treated me differently. And so I think just out of sheer stubbornness, you know, I was like, you know what? If they're going to call me a witch, I'm going to be a fucking witch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the next time we went to a bookstore, I picked up Wicca for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham, just because at the time, I mean, again, this was late 90s, you know, no internet, no, you know, I had The Craft to go by. I think The Craft movie had come out, and like I super resonated with that. So yeah, I read that, and while I didn't really practice anything then, because there's even aspects of Wicca that I was like, I don't know about this, you know, like this doesn't really resonate with me. But there was so much in the book that made me go, okay, this makes a hell of a lot more sense than Christianity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I let it die. I mean, not die down, but I kept it kind of I didn't really dive into anything until, of course, after graduation. I got married. Colin got orders to England. And that's when I really dove down into, you know, the history of England, but all of the paganism and, you know, the Celtic roots. I really felt at home there. And that's when I really became like an actively practicing witch.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And I think, if I'm remembering the story correctly, that's where you found the coven or the group of women that, like, y'all were out doing something and somebody said something about, oh, you worship the devil or whatever. And her like immediate response was something like, I don't believe in Christian deities or something like that. Was that there?
Yeah, that was Tina. She was she's my heathen friend, Norse heathen.
Yes.
And yeah, we were out at market day one day and somebody was like, oh, like, we got talking about it. And yeah, she was like, oh, no, I don't believe in Christian deities.
Yeah. I have
I love it.
Internalized that and just remembered that. And I'm waiting. At some point it will happen. I'm going to pop off with that here in like Bible Belt, Texas, and people are gonna have their responses, and you'll just see what happens.
Yep. No, it's a beautiful response to, do you worship Satan? You're like, nope, I don't believe in Christian deities. No. Yep. Love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I'm just so flabbergasted by the fact that a whole group of students thought that the Pillsbury Doughboy was a voodoo doll. And it's just like, that's like 5 different ways of being ignorant, I swear.
Not to mention, like, he doesn't resemble Colin at all.
No.
And there's no needles. Like, this is I don't know if, hold
Yeah.
on. Like,
Oh yeah, you can hear that.
I'm knocking on it. This is like hard plastic. This is the
Yeah.
stuff that dog chew toys are made out of. Can you
So
imagine the amount of
funny.
effort to stab this with
I
needles?
know. I
They
know.
they don't know what witchcraft is, obviously.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. That's so
Yep.
fun that we get to see your Pillsbury Doughboy though.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah, mine was it's interesting that you mentioned the connection with like the Celtic traditions and all that is because also in the 90s in high school I was really drawn to all the Celtic stuff. So like gosh, I can't even remember all of them, but all the like Irish bands that were like super popular at the time, the Cranberries, I was an Enya girl. Totally in all of that. And I had so many diverse friends that like I was exposed to pagans and witches and, people that were gay and people that we now understand are neurodivergent, all that. So I'm really grateful for that. The rumors that were started about me were that, let's see, it was after I broke up with my first boyfriend. And about the same time, I got to be really good friends with this girl in orchestra who was a lesbian. And so she and I were hanging out a lot. And so the rumors started getting spread that I was lesbian, and that's why I broke up with him. To which I replied, well, it doesn't really speak well for him, but whatever. But that was where we were at. I think we were all like a little more chill on some witchcraft stuff. But I did definitely have a friend who was like super goth, wore a pentacle on her neck, all that. And she was just like the sweetest person on the planet and like this big, like pocket sized. Um, and I knew her, but I was always like a little like wary of her because like I could just tell she was just a powerful individual and she gave off like those craft vibes, right? But it took me quite a bit longer to be comfortable with my witchiness. Like I knew that again, like you were saying, I knew I was different. And it really started when I was like 12 or 13 and I started having prophetic dreams, or I would have like I'd be in a situation like I remember I was at Disney World and not like in front of Cinderella's castle, but like we were out at the Polynesian resort and we were going for like the dinner theater luau thing and we were on this path and it I came to this point, like this bend in this path, like we're just waiting in line, and there's this red hibiscus, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen that in my dream. And it's like I was able to then look at that and I was like, I'm going to look over here. There's going to be a guy in like this super specific Hawaiian shirt. And sure enough, he was. And I was like, I'm going to look over here. There's going to be a boat over here. And it was. And so it freaked me out. And I started I told my mom about it a little bit. But that was it. And so I just kind of had these experiences. I realized like at church, I could feel other people's like energy and energetic body. There were a couple people that like got a little made fun of behind the scenes, and I'm like, no, no, no. Like, you don't understand. That person is radiating positive energy. Like, definitely like one of those like kind of Christ conscious type people. So of course they were ridiculed. Go fig. But then it was when I was in my late 20s, early 30s that I really started embracing the idea of being a witch and understanding that it wasn't what I was taught when I was growing up, right? Because again, Southern Baptist upbringing, right? Bible Belt, Texas. You're told that basically anything that's not, the Christian way of life is evil and of the devil and all that. So much so that even, pre-Christian paganism was like, oh, well, they just didn't know about Jesus and dirt, 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 like there was this attitude. Um, and it was interesting. I remember sitting at the corner of the little pub up in Denton many years ago. And a very good friend of mine who I think he's been a witch probably about as long as you have. One of those things. And I was talking with somebody we had just met, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're like a witch, aren't you?" Like in a positive way. And I was like, "I don't know, whatever." And so she, got up to go to the restroom, and he goes, "Yeah, you are." And it was just a matter of fact. He's like, "Yeah, you're a witch." I'm like, "What? Huh?" And it was just like, because I had this internalized story that was bad, so I could not have been that. But it was like, oh, okay. And it was from a friend of many years that I trusted and knew really well, and obviously knew he was a witch and also not a bad person, And so I was like, okay, well, like, let's do this. Let's check this out. And it was a slow kind of tiptoe at first, but then all of a sudden I was like, oh, all this stuff that I had experienced, remember talking to my dead grandmother when I was a little kid, and those dreams. And I mean, there was even like a healing session that we did, and we were using it like more through established religion. But I actually remember being with my dad in the cardiac ICU. He had a heart surgery, and like he had a horrible response to anesthesia. So he was like not recovering. And so it was me and the pastor of his church and my uncle. And the three of us were standing around his bed. I will always remember this. And I actually felt the energy of the healing that we were doing. And sure enough, in a couple of days, like he was up. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, there's something to all this. And it's just a fascinating journey when I look back over it and kind of speak it aloud like this, to say, yeah, it went through all of these steps and stages, through and then beyond, like organized religion in my case. So yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I do think and it brings up a really good question too, because I think it's very interesting that I was able I would have been 16 at the time, 16 or 17. Like, to not fully be like, oh yeah, I'm a witch and I'm going to run with it. Yeah. But at least to read a book on Wicca and be like, oh, this is it. This sets home. And like, I'm just going to let this simmer for a little while. Mm-hmm. But you weren't, it was your late 20s, early 30s before you were like, okay, this feels right. Like, I think that's a really fun thing to talk about too, is like how some people, because for example, too, I just had a friend that I knew, back in South Carolina just reached out to me recently, and she was like, hey, I've really been diving into this, and we're in our 40s now, and she's like, I got asked this question about my necklace the other day, like how I could, which she's still in this, in a small southern town in South Carolina. So it was one of those things where she was like, I was judged immediately for my necklace, and I just don't even understand. And I'm just like, she's like, and I don't care, but I just, and she wanted some advice on like how basically, how do I just live so openly? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It was just like, for me at least, once I figured it out and once I knew it, and even once I came out to my parents, I waited to come out of the broom closet until I was in England, and I was like, okay, I'm 2,000 miles away from my parents. They can't get mad at me. And I remember telling them on a group call one day, like, hey, I'm a witch. And my mom goes, yeah, we know.
Yep.
Like, that was the response. And they were like, even if you didn't know what it was, we knew. And I was like, oh, all right. But I know it's not like that for a lot of people. So I don't know. I just thought this would be like a fun, I don't know what else this kind of brings up, but like a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, it really is fun. And I know for me, I was kind of on this continual searching for a spiritual practice that made sense to me. And that's one of the things that I really love about your story, is you talk about how it's like, oh, a Scott Cunningham book made way more sense than Christianity did. And I mean, in high school, oh, I'm getting chills. In high school, like there was a small group of us and we studied like the Gnostic Gospels, right? And so like, ooh, what was left out? And then, throughout my academic career, because I have a history degree, and it's like, I think the thing that made me question the Christian church the most was one of my history classes and the English Reformation. And you learn about how the book itself was, used and retranslated and things were left out and all that. And I was looking for something different. So I went on many spiritual paths and had to deconstruct a lot of harmful lessons that I was taught in religion. So that, yeah, I think I had to get to the point, and it took me until my early 30s to be like, okay, I'm here now. I can actually like accept these things and accept these truths about myself without any sort of judgment. So I empathize a lot with your friend who's dealing with a super judgy community, because that happens.
That's what I don't. Like, I think in my rambling message back to her, I'm like, I don't even know if this helps any, because I've never been in that place, really. Yeah. Like, I've always, like, once I was like, yes, I'm a witch.
Yeah.
I didn't give a flying fuck from that point forward, you know?
Right.
We moved from England to the small town in South Carolina, and I opened up a witchcraft store because I didn't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that when you realize that that is so true to who you are, like the more you lean into it, the more you care less about what people think, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Right. So I know. And I love that you did that. You're like, what's up, bitches? Here's a witchcraft shop.
Yeah. I even had, I think what's really fun is the Chamber of Commerce in that small town kept calling me and coming by to get me. And I'm like, or they kept calling, and I'm like, I don't think you understand my business. Mm-hmm. You keep wanting me to be a member. I don't think you understand what you're getting yourselves into. And they're like, no, we do. We've done our research. And I'm like, okay. So I had I don't know what the Muggles call it, but like a welcome business ceremony that
like a ribbon cutting.
A ribbon cutting. Thank you. Yeah. Where I had witches come out and, cleanse the front of it. I had people come out. I had a Native American come out and read some kind of something, like a blessing.
Yeah.
I had, it was the Chamber of Commerce people were there, and they were so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I told you all. Yeah. I told you all. Because like, it was hilarious. Because I'm like, I told you. I tried to warn you, and you kept pushing it. So yeah, now I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, bitches.
Well, and you know what I think is great, though, at this point is that, because I still run into weird stuff like that. Like, people are like, your business name is the Good Business Witch? I'm like, uh-huh. They're like, well, what does that mean exactly? And I'm like, well, I do good business, and I'm a witch. And we put it together, and that's where we're at, right? And they're like, oh, okay. But then at the same time, I have a friend and client who opened a brick and mortar store in like kind of middle of nowhere East Texas. Like, it takes me a good hour and a half to get out there. And they are part of the Chamber of Commerce. They had a ribbon cutting, then they had a grand opening, and like that little bitty town, I mean, it's not little bitty, but I mean, it's a pretty small town in Texas. Like the Chamber of Commerce is like, we love you. Yes, this is great. And I'm like, wow, how far have we come in the past, 20 years or whatever.
Oh, that's amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
That is great. Because I don't think anyone's tried since my little business closed. Mm-hmm. And I think at the time when I opened in that small town, you had a Christian store that sold some types, like you could buy your chime candles there and like some bags of herbs because they had deemed them Christian enough.
Right.
And then there was a flower shop downtown that it was a flower shop in the front, and in the back you could get your hoodoo supplies.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And then there was another store where it was like a music store in the front, and in the back you could get your hoodoo supplies.
Okay.
But that was it. That's all
Yeah.
there was for a ways. And like
Yeah.
this was a military town. I was like, we're getting people from all walks of life
Oh
here. Never
yeah.
mind. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you for
Awesome.
sharing yours. I
Of
love it.
course. This is fun.
And
So,
what kind of just I know we're getting ready to wrap up too,
oh
but
yeah, you're
like
cool.
so you are like now you're in it open.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay. Just 100% making sure like
Yeah.
you're like this is who I am. This
Oh
is
yeah. Yeah. And it's,
okay.
and it's interesting because I was calling myself an eclectic divination witch.
Mhm.
And I realize as I dig more into it and I become witchier, I'm like, am I a hedge witch? Like, wait a minute.
Yes.
So I'm like, I think I am. Because I have like always had this deep connection with the spirit world. I see dead people. It's just a fact. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is that? Because then it's like, oh, that's like anything that's on the hedge of, between the worlds and all that. So, yeah. But oh yeah, I am out.
Yeah.
Out and proud.
I think
For
I'm
sure.
still exploring too. Like, I think, well, I've changed. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
considering that I was so young when I embraced, this, I've gone through very many, what, iterations? Is that the right
Yeah,
word?
that's the right word.
Oh, yeah. So many. Like I was a kitchen witch, like full hardcore
Yeah.
kitchen witch at one point when I was a stay-at-home mom. And now I'm like, I've got my takeout food and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and you're blessed. Like,
Nice.
we draw a pinnacle over it, and you're blessed. Let's
Nice.
move on.
Nice.
But I don't know. I feel like something new is coming for me. Like
Yeah.
something is bubbling under the surface. Because I think I at the moment I call myself an eclectic busy witch,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's fine. But I don't know. There's something brewing there. I can just feel
Yeah.
it, and I don't know what it is. But I think I'm going to find out this year, and it's going to hit me
Yeah.
a little bit more like. Because you are definitely a hedge witch,
Yeah.
100%. I think
Okay.
I
Awesome.
love a hedge witch too.
Yep.
Those are if you could ever picture someone living in the outskirts of town in a little cottage
Right.
with like herbs everywhere, but like that's who you go to have your cards read. But
Yep.
also, if you have an
Yep.
upset stomach and you need
Mm-hmm.
a herbal remedy,
Yeah, that's
that's
me.
that's
Yeah,
you.
it is. I know. Thank you for that affirmation there. Validation. Yes, I have like this herb garden in my kitchen. Like this is my new project for this year and it is already outgrowing my kitchen. I'm like, holy crap. But I'm like, oh, we could do this and we could do, and like I picked them specifically for their medicinal and magical uses. So yeah. So that's where
Hmm.
we're at. But
Oh,
I
I
think I
love
had
it.
to get there, you know what I mean? And yeah, I can definitely feel that there's something like on the cusp for you as well, especially since you are an Avalonian priestess and, your work with Mary Magdalene as well. Like there's definitely like a divine feminine something happening. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, and I put a little pentacle in my coffee or my cereal. Like we do not look down our noses at busy witches
Yep.
at all, at all. That's awesome. I love it. So yeah, if y'all have stories you'd like to share with us about how you became aware of your witchiness or how you stepped into it, send us an email. That'd be really cool. It's twowitchestalkingpod@gmail.com or just message us on Instagram because we'd love to hear that. It's really cool. Yeah.
Me and my voodoo doll. We'll see you all next week then, because
Love it. Oh my gosh, I know, right? Oh, before we sign off, do we want to pull a card? A
oh yeah,
conversation card? Do you have your deck there?
I do.
Excellent.
I do. I think I need.
Reach.
Yeah, I think I need to get earbuds with a longer cord.
I got these over the ear headphones, and the cord, I swear, is like 6 feet long. I actually have it like tied with a twisty tie.
All right. So I have fluster is what I have.
Yes.
And we're just gonna randomly pick one. Kind of got this thing going on, and we're gonna go here. Nope, because that's one. So it is an actual game. So this one says turn the question back on the asker.
Oh,
Okay.
one.
Yeah, no, I keep picking those. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. If you had a time machine, what time and place would you go to?
That's a really good question. Well, if I have a machine and I can come back, like I would love to see like Tudor England, because it's so, I think, mythologicalized, and it's so Hollywooded up, that I would just like to see what it was actually like. Yeah. Or I'd like to go forward like 200 or 300 years to see if humanity's still here.
That's true.
Or if we've eradicated ourselves. Yeah.
My nerdy side is going to 100% come out, and I think Megan already knows the answer to this question. I'm going back to November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas, because I want to see where these damn bullets came from that shot John F. Kennedy.
Right? You and so many other people.
I'm going back and forth a few times, because one time I'm going to pop up on the grassy knoll, and I'm going to look around, and I'm going to be like, I knew it. There's them people with the gun. And then I'm going to back it up, come back, go up to the Texas Book Depository building. I'm going to back it up. I'm going to be right next to the car. Yeah, so that's where I'm coming, and I'm going to finally get answers on who the hell killed John F. Kennedy.
I love it. And you've got to get out here, because living in Dallas, like, that's just like, that's 1 year in, you know how like in school, it's like, oh, this year the fifth graders are going to this thing. One of the years growing up, everybody went to the book depository and got the Dealey Plaza tour and all that. So, because it's just right here.
Well, that's so much better than the science museum that they always took us to.
Right? No, we went to the Dallas Holocaust Museum and on separate trips, and then the Texas Book Depository and the Sixth Floor Museum and all that. And the museum is very cool. You can actually kind of stand in the window and kind of see it yourself. It's cool. I know.
I will get there. I will get there one day. But that is 100%. Anytime anyone ever asks me this question, and I always get strange looks, so I know there's going to be someone listening to the podcast now, like, of all the places, she's going by there and be like, look, this has been an obsession since I was in the 6th grade, and I read the Warren Commission on Look, I think I had to have been there in a past life. That's the only logical explanation.
Yeah.
To have popped out this morbidly fascinated with the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Right. Yeah.
I had to have been there.
I think so too. I mean, there were so many people just there, like bystanders. But yeah, I think so too.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's amazing. All right. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. You can find us on Instagram, Two Witches Talking, and our beautiful faces are right there. We also have a Patreon as well, so go click that link in Instagram and visit us there. You can see our full videos, and I think that's it. Yeah, send your stories in. Send your tips, tricks, recommendations for episodes as well to twowitchestalkingpod at gmail.com.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for listening.